The inky blackness of deep space rippled with tension. The U.S. Defiance drifted seemingly helpless, her external lights dimmed to a faint amber glow. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood motionless on the bridge, her dark eyes scanning the holographic displays with calculated calm. Incoming transmission. Lieutenant Marcus Chen called out, his fingers dancing across the communication console. The bridge crew moved with a choreographed precision that spoke of countless hours of training and shared experience. The Zorn Collective's massive warship loomed like a predatory crystal, its geometric hull catching starlight in sharp, angular reflections. Their communication burst through the ship's systems, a standard ultimatum of surrender, delivered with the clinical detachment of a species that had conquered countless civilizations. "They're scanning us," Commander Sarah Nakamura whispered, her hands flying across her tactical station. A complex network of systems hummed to life beneath the surface, a hidden symphony of technological preparation. Captain Rodriguez allowed herself the faintest hint of a smile. The Zorn believed they were in control. They had no idea what was about to unfold. The ship's exterior told a story of recent engagement, scorch marks, hastily repaired hull sections, and adaptive plating that seemed to shimmer and shift under the alien scanners. To the untrained eye, the U.S. Defiance looked like a wounded predator. To those who knew her, she was anything but vulnerable. "Engineering. Status report," Rodriguez called out, her voice steady and clear. Chief Engineer Diego Ramirez's voice crackled through the communication system. "All systems are green, Captain. Containment fields are stable. Our little surprise is ready." The Zorn tractor beams locked onto the Defiance with surgical precision. Massive energy conduits pulsed, drawing the human vessel into the alien ship's massive hangar. The crew remained unnaturally calm, each member locked into their specific role, a living, breathing system more complex than any machine. Lieutenant Chen leaned toward the captain. "They're not even attempting standard communication protocols. Just pure extraction." "Typical," Rodriguez muttered. "They see us as another specimen to be collected and studied." The ship's internal systems began a subtle dance. Microscopic adaptive algorithms started their work, collecting and encoding data about the alien vessel's internal structure. What appeared to be simple damage control systems were actually sophisticated information-gathering networks. Each crew member wore a specialized biosync suit, not just protection, but an integral part of the ship's overall systems. Their neural interfaces connected seamlessly with the vessel's computer, creating a symbiotic relationship that blurred the lines between organic intelligence and technological capability. As the U.S. Defiance was drawn deeper into the alien vessel, the crew's preparation became evident in the smallest of details. A maintenance panel that seemed randomly displaced, a cooling system with an unusual energy signature, a communication array that appeared damaged, but was actually gathering unprecedented amounts of data. "They think they're capturing us," Commander Nakamura whispered to the captain. "But we're the ones doing the capturing." Rodriguez's smile grew slightly wider. The Zorn Collective had spent centuries believing themselves the ultimate technological species. They were about to learn a profound lesson about human innovation. The massive hangar doors began to close. Lights shifted from external navigation beacons to internal docking protocols. The U.S. Defiance settled into its new temporary home, a Trojan horse waiting to be unleashed. No one on the bridge spoke. They didn't need to. Years of training, of shared experiences, of pushing the boundaries of human potential had prepared them for this moment. The real mission was just beginning. Chief Researcher Krillax approached the human vessel with the clinical detachment of a scientist who believed they had seen everything the universe could offer. 3 eyes, each a complex mosaic of sensory receptors, swept across the U.S. Defiance's exterior. The Zorn scanning technologies hummed to life, their sophisticated sensors prodding every microscopic detail of the captured ship. Standard procedure, routine analysis, or so they thought. The research facility was a marvel of Zorn engineering, a massive crystalline structure that hung in deep space like a geometric sculpture. Specialized containment chambers surrounded the human vessel, each designed to isolate and analyze every conceivable type of technological system. "Begin primary scan sequence," Krelax instructed, their voice a harmonious blend of frequencies that carried both authority and scientific curiosity. Junior researcher Vexna struggled to maintain professional composure. Something about the human ship made their neural tendrils twitch with an unfamiliar sensation. Was it anticipation? Concern? The emotion was difficult to categorize. The first anomaly appeared within moments. The ship's hull composition defied every known metallurgical classification in the Zorn database. Layers of adaptive alloys shifted and realigned, moving with a fluidity that almost suggested life. Microscopic repair mechanisms danced beneath the surface, transforming what should have been structural damage into something entirely unexpected. "Impossible," muttered a senior technician, his specialized scanning appendage trembling slightly. Krelax leaned closer. The hull wasn't just a protective layer. It was a dynamic system that responded to environmental changes with impossible speed and precision. Where Zorn ship designs required weeks of maintenance and careful calibration, this human vessel seemed to heal and adapt in real time. A junior researcher's trembling appendage pointed at a particularly intricate section. "Chief," he stammered, "these molecular restructuring patterns, they challenge everything in our theoretical models." The scanning beams revealed layer upon layer of complexity. Each pass of the sensors uncovered new details that seemed to contradict the previous findings. The ship's exterior was a puzzle that rewrote itself with each attempt to understand it. Vexna initiated a cross-referential analysis, comparing the hull's composition to millions of known technological designs. The computer systems ground to a near halt, overwhelmed by the sheer complexity of the data. "Recalibrate," Krelax commanded, a hint of frustration creeping into their typically emotionless voice. The hull wasn't just a protective shell. It was a living, breathing system that seemed to anticipate the scanning processes. As the Zorn sensors probed deeper, the ship's exterior subtly adjusted, presenting different molecular structures that continued to baffle the research team. What should have been a straightforward analysis had become a profound challenge to everything the Zorn understood about technological design. Specialized analysis chambers surrounding the ship began to show unexpected readings. Environmental control systems designed to isolate and study the vessel started to interact with it in ways no one could predict. The ship seemed to be studying the researchers as much as they were studying it. "Chief," Vexna called out, "the ship's external layer is generating its own energy signature. It's not just absorbing our scanning frequencies. It's analyzing them." Krelax's three eyes narrowed. The implications were staggering. This wasn't just a technological artifact. It was a complex system that challenged the very fundamental understanding of what technology could be. Hours passed. The research team's initial confidence gave way to a growing sense of professional uncertainty. Each new discovery about the human vessel raised more questions than answers. Something was very wrong, and the Zorn were just beginning to understand how wrong everything could be. The computer core of the U.S. Defiance pulsed with an energy that defied conventional understanding. Where Zorn technology followed strict, predictable algorithms, this human system was a living, breathing entity of pure computational creativity. Researcher Vexna stared in disbelief at the holographic displays. Lines of code danced and mutated before their eyes, creating patterns that seemed to defy the fundamental laws of computational logic. Subroutines rewrote themselves with a fluidity that suggested something far beyond standard programming. "This is impossible," muttered Dr. Krelax, their three eyes trying to track the rapid transformations. The ship's computer was not just a system. It was an evolving intelligence that learned, adapted, and transformed with each passing moment. What should have been a stable technological framework was instead a magnificent dance of adaptive intelligence. One particular discovery sent shockwaves through the research team. Buried deep within the navigation systems was an algorithm that had completely rewritten itself after an encounter with an unknown spatial anomaly. It wasn't a simple patch or a standard update. This was a revolutionary approach to interstellar navigation that challenged everything the Zorn knew about space travel. Vexna pulled up the comparative analysis. Traditional Zorn navigation systems relied on precise, predetermined calculations. They were efficient, predictable, mathematical marvels of engineering. The human system, by contrast, was a living organism of computational potential. "Look at this," they called out, highlighting a specific section of code. "The system doesn't just calculate a route. It anticipates potential challenges, creates multiple contingency paths, and continuously learns from each navigational decision." The research team watched in a mixture of horror and fascination as the computer system seemingly played out thousands of potential scenarios in milliseconds. It was like watching a mind think, not just process, but truly think. A senior technician attempted to isolate and study a specific subroutine. The moment the analysis began, the code shifted. It wasn't defensive. It was adaptive. The system was learning from the very act of being studied. Dr. Krulax realized they were looking at something far more profound than a ship's computer. This was a new form of intelligence, a symbiotic relationship between human creativity and technological potential. The most baffling discovery came from the ship's emergency response systems, where Zorn technology would typically have rigid, predefined protocols. This system was fluid. A potential system failure didn't trigger a standard shutdown. Instead, the computer would rapidly reconfigure entire subsystems, finding creative solutions that no programmed algorithm could have predicted. Backup systems weren't just redundant. They were opportunities for innovation. Vexna pulled up a series of logs documenting the ship's previous missions. Each entry revealed a story of continuous adaptation. A communication array damaged in a previous encounter had been completely reimagined. What should have been a critical failure became an opportunity for technological innovation. "It's like the ship is alive," one researcher whispered. But it was more than that. This was a glimpse into a fundamentally different approach to technology. Where the Zorn saw systems as something to be controlled, humans seemed to view technology as something to be nurtured, to be allowed to grow and evolve. The research team worked through cycles that passed for days in their time. Each new discovery challenged their understanding of what technology could be. The U.S. Defiance was not just a ship. It was a testament to human potential, a living, breathing example of innovation beyond comprehension. Dr. Krulax made a decision. The findings from this analysis would change everything. The Zorn Collective's understanding of technology, of intelligence, of potential. It would never be the same again. The personal logs recovered from the U.S. Defiance were nothing like what the Zorn researchers expected. What began as a routine data extraction became a profound exploration of human potential, organizational structure, and collective intelligence. Dr. Krulax carefully activated the first personal log of Captain Elena Rodriguez. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing not just a military leader, but a complex tapestry of human capability that defied every known organizational model. The initial entries spoke of standard mission parameters, but as the logs progressed, a remarkable pattern emerged. This wasn't just a ship's crew. It was a living, breathing ecosystem of human potential. One particularly striking entry detailed an incident near the Proxima Centauri system. The ship's primary communication specialist had successfully rerouted emergency power systems during a critical system failure. But this wasn't just a simple technical fix. The log revealed a depth of cross-disciplinary understanding that left the Zorn researchers speechless. Lieutenant Marcus Chen's personal notes showed how he had spent his off-duty hours studying multiple ship systems, not out of mere curiosity, but as part of a deliberate strategy of collective preparedness. A communications expert who understood reactor mechanics. A tactical officer with medical training. Each crew member was not just a specialist, but a comprehensive problem solver. Vexna, the junior researcher, found herself unable to look away. The human approach to organizational structure was revolutionary. Captain Rodriguez's leadership philosophy became increasingly clear. Traditional hierarchical structures were replaced by a fluid, adaptive system of shared knowledge and responsibility. During one critical mission log, she described how the ship's engineer had developed a medical solution for a crew member's complex health issue, while simultaneously managing a critical engine repair. The Zorn research team realized they weren't just studying the ship's logs. They were witnessing a fundamental reimagining of human potential. Psychological profiles reveal a stunning level of emotional and intellectual adaptability. Where Zorn society valued rigid specialization, these humans thrived on versatility. Personal development wasn't just encouraged, it was a fundamental expectation. One log entry from Commander Sarah Nakamura particularly caught Dr. Krulax's attention. She described a training program where crew members were deliberately rotated through different ship systems. The goal wasn't just cross-training. It was to develop a holistic understanding of the ship as a living, breathing entity. The crew's communication patterns defied traditional analysis. Their interpersonal interactions were a complex dance of mutual support, shared knowledge, and collective problem-solving. What appeared chaotic to the Zorn was actually a highly sophisticated system of collaborative intelligence. Personal growth logs showed crew members continuously challenging themselves. Language learning, technical skill acquisition, psychological development, these weren't additional activities. They were core expectations of every crew member. Dr. Krulax realized something profound. This wasn't just a ship's crew. This was a mobile learning ecosystem, a collective intelligence that continuously evolved and adapted. The most shocking revelation came from the psychological evaluation logs. Traditional metrics of individual performance were replaced by a holistic assessment of collective capability. A crew member wasn't evaluated on their individual skills, but on their ability to support, learn from, and elevate their entire team. Vexna whispered a statement that would echo through the research facility. They don't just work together. They become something more than themselves. As the analysis continued, the Zorn researchers understood they were looking at something far beyond a military vessel. This was a glimpse into a fundamentally different approach to intelligence, collaboration, and human potential. The U.S. Defiance was more than a ship. It was a living testament to humanity's most extraordinary capability, the ability to continuously grow, adapt, and transcend their own limitations. The modular design of the U.S. Defiance defied every known engineering principle in the Zorn Collective's extensive database. What appeared to be a simple warship was, in fact, a complex adaptive system that challenged the very foundations of technological understanding. Lead researcher Krulax stood before a holographic display, three eyes narrowing in concentration. Each component of the ship seemed to exist in a state of potential, not just a fixed piece of machinery, but a solution waiting to be discovered. A damaged cooling system caught the researchers' attention. In a standard Zorn vessel, such damage would require extensive repairs and system replacement. Here, the same component transformed seamlessly into an emergency power generator. The metamorphosis was not just a stopgap measure, but a calculated, intelligent redesign that improved the original system's functionality. Vexna, the junior researcher, began mapping the ship's adaptive capabilities. The communication array was no longer just a means of transmission. It could rapidly reconfigure itself into a comprehensive sensor network, gathering and processing information in ways that seemed to defy logical constraints. "This isn't engineering," Vexna muttered. "This is something else entirely." The ship's design philosophy became increasingly clear. Where Zorn technology emphasized rigid specialization, the U.S. Defiance embraced radical flexibility. Each component existed in a state of quantum potential, capable of becoming something entirely different at a moment's notice. One researcher calculated the probability of such adaptive design. The mathematics were impossible. The probability suggested a level of technological innovation that should not exist. And yet, here it was, functioning perfectly. Detailed scans revealed layer upon layer of unexpected capabilities. A maintenance panel that appeared randomly displaced was actually a sophisticated information-gathering node. A seemingly damaged subsystem was a carefully constructed adaptive mechanism waiting to be activated. The most remarkable discovery came from the ship's emergency response systems. Traditional technological designs had fixed protocols. The U.S. Defiance had something entirely different, a living, breathing system of potential solutions. Krelax pulled up a comprehensive analysis of the ship's previous missions. Each encounter had left a mark, not as damage, but as an opportunity for systemic improvement. The ship didn't just survive challenges. It learned from them, integrated them, transformed them into new capabilities. A standard communication relay could become a makeshift navigation system. An auxiliary powered unit could rapidly reconfigure to support critical life support systems. The boundaries between different ship systems were not just blurred. They were essentially non-existent. The research team watched in growing amazement as they simulated various potential scenarios. The ship's systems would predict, adapt, and transform with a speed and intelligence that seemed almost prescient. It wasn't just responding to challenges, it was anticipating them. Vexna discovered something that sent a shiver through the research facility. The ship's adaptive capabilities extended beyond physical systems. There were indications of a deeper, more profound intelligence that permeated every aspect of its design. "It's like the ship is alive," one researcher whispered. But it was more complex than that. This was a glimpse into a fundamentally different approach to technology. Where the Zorn saw systems as something to be controlled, humans seemed to view technology as something to be nurtured, to be allowed to grow and evolve. Krelax made a profound realization. The U.S. Defiance was not just a technological marvel. It was a living testament to human potential, a system that embodied creativity, adaptability, and an almost organic approach to problem-solving. The implications were staggering. Everything the Zorn understood about technological design was about to be rewritten. Deep within the archived data of the U.S. Defiance, the Zorn researchers discovered something far more terrifying than any technological marvel. Buried in the ship's complex systems were psychological adaptation algorithms that challenged everything they understood about intelligence and strategic thinking. Chief Researcher Krelax activated the primary psychological analysis module with trembling appendages. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing a network of computational complexity that defied conventional understanding. The ship's cognitive systems were not just predictive. They were transformative. Layers of algorithmic brilliance unfolded like intricate mathematical origami. Where Zorn's strategic systems relied on predetermined protocols, this human system could anticipate, adapt, and manipulate potential scenarios with breathtaking precision. Vexna, the junior researcher, found herself utterly captivated. Each layer of the psychological algorithm seemed to breathe with an almost organic intelligence. The system didn't just process information. It understood context, predicted emotional responses, and created multi-layered strategy scenarios in mere milliseconds. One particular algorithm caught the researchers' attention. It was designed to predict potential communication outcomes across multiple species, accounting for psychological nuances that traditional computational models would never consider. Cultural context, emotional subtext, potential misunderstandings, all were processed simultaneously. "This isn't just a computational system," Dr. Krelax muttered. "This is a living intelligence." The most shocking discovery emerged in the communication strategy modules. The ship's systems could construct communication approaches that would maximize positive outcomes across dramatically different cultural contexts. It wasn't just about transmitting information, it was about creating understanding. Psychological profiles of the crew revealed the source of this extraordinary capability. Each crew member was not just a specialist, but a comprehensive problem solver trained to understand complex interpersonal dynamics. Their training went far beyond technical skills, diving deep into fields of psychology, cultural studies, and adaptive communication. The ship's communication algorithms could predict potential misunderstandings before they occurred. They could craft messages that would resonate across different cognitive frameworks, adjusting tone, context, and delivery with microscopic precision. Vexna discovered something that sent ripples of concern through the research team. The psychological systems were continuously learning. Each interaction, each communication, became an opportunity for growth and understanding. The algorithms didn't just process, they evolved. A simulation module revealed the true depth of the ship's capabilities. Given a complex scenario with multiple potential outcomes, the system would generate thousands of potential communication strategies. Each strategy was meticulously crafted, taking into account psychological, cultural, and contextual nuances. The Zorn researchers realized they were looking at something far beyond a standard strategic system. This was a comprehensive approach to understanding and navigating complex interpersonal and interspecies dynamics. Captain Rodriguez's personal logs provided additional context. The psychological training of the crew went far beyond traditional military preparation. They were taught to see every challenge as an opportunity for understanding, every potential conflict as a chance for communication. Our greatest strength, one log entry read, is our ability to understand, not our ability to overpower. The ship's psychological systems embodied this philosophy. They were designed not for confrontation, but for comprehensive understanding. Each algorithm was a bridge, not a barrier. Krillax made a profound realization. The U.S. Defiance was more than a technological marvel. It was a living testament to human potential, a system that understood that true power lies not in domination, but in comprehension. The research team sat in stunned silence. Everything they understood about intelligence, about strategy, about communication was about to be fundamentally rewritten. The final stages of analysis brought the Zorn Collective to a precipice of understanding they had never anticipated. Everything they believed about technological potential, about intelligence, about the nature of adaptation, it would be forever changed. Chief Researcher Krillax gathered the senior research team in the primary analysis chamber. The holographic displays surrounding the U.S. Defiance pulsed with an energy that seemed to defy conventional scientific understanding. "We are not just looking at a technological artifact," Krillax began, their three eyes scanning the faces of the assembled researchers. "We are witnessing a fundamental reimagining of what intelligence can be." Vexna, the junior researcher who had been at the forefront of the analysis, stepped forward. Projected displays began to dance with complex algorithmic patterns, revealing layers of innovation that challenged every known technological principle. The ship was more than a collection of systems. It was a living, breathing ecosystem of human potential. Each discovered layer revealed new depths of complexity. The adaptive technologies were not just responsive, they were predictive. The psychological algorithms were not just analytical, they were empathetic. The communication systems were not just transmitters, they were bridges of understanding. A comprehensive review of the ship's mission logs told a story far beyond mere technological achievement. Each encounter, each challenge, had been an opportunity for growth. The U.S. Defiance and its crew didn't just respond to challenges, they transformed them into opportunities for learning and development. The most profound revelation came from understanding the ship's core philosophical approach. Where Zorn technology sought to control and manage, human technology sought to understand and adapt. Each system was designed not with rigid parameters, but with an inherent potential for transformation. Researchers discovered that the ship's systems were fundamentally interconnected in ways that defied traditional engineering concepts. A communication array could become a sensor network. A cooling system could transform into an emergency power generator. Boundaries between systems were not just blurred, they were essentially non-existent. Psychological profiles of the crew revealed the source of this extraordinary capability. Each crew member was trained to be a comprehensive problem solver. Specialization was not a limitation, but an opportunity for deeper understanding. An engineer might understand medical principles. A communication specialist could manage complex navigational challenges. Krillax pulled up a comprehensive analysis that would reshape the Zorn Collective's understanding of technological potential. The U.S. Defiance was not just a technological marvel. It was a living testament to human creativity, adaptability, and collective intelligence. "We are looking at something beyond technology," Krelax announced. "We are looking at a philosophy of existence." The ship's systems embodied an approach to intelligence that was fundamentally different from anything the Zorn had ever encountered. It wasn't about controlling information. It was about understanding it. It wasn't about managing challenges. It was about transforming them. Vexna discovered something that would become the cornerstone of the research team's final report. The ship's systems were not just adaptive. They were continuously learning. Each interaction, each challenge, became an opportunity for growth and understanding. The psychological algorithms could predict potential outcomes across multiple scenarios, accounting for cultural nuances, emotional contexts, and potential misunderstandings. Communication was not just about transmitting information, it was about creating understanding. As the analysis neared completion, the research team realized they were witnessing a profound paradigm shift. The U.S. Defiance was more than a technological artifact. It was a glimpse into a fundamentally different approach to intelligence, to technology, to existence itself. Krelax made a final profound observation. Humanity, they said, is not just a species. It is a continuous process of becoming. The Zorn Collective would never be the same again. The classified chambers of the Zorn Collective's highest council trembled with an energy of profound uncertainty. Chief Researcher Krelax stood before the assembled leaders, the weight of their discoveries pressing down like an invisible force. The report would never be fully shared. Some truths were too dangerous, too transformative to be widely known. Holographic displays flickered with glimpses of the U.S. Defiance, not just a ship, but a testament to human potential that threatened to unravel everything the Zorn understood about intelligence, technology, and existence. Senior Counselor Drax leaned forward, three eyes narrowing. "Explain," they demanded, their voice a complex harmonic that carried centuries of technological superiority. Krelax began the most important presentation of their scientific career. The implications were staggering. The human vessel was not just a technological artifact. It was a living philosophy of adaptation, of continuous growth, of potential beyond rigid categorization. Every system, every algorithm, every component spoke of a fundamental approach to existence that the Zorn had never conceived. Meanwhile, light years away, Captain Alina Rodriguez and her crew prepared for their next mission, blissfully unaware of the existential crisis they had triggered in an entire alien civilization. The Zorn Collective's research teams had uncovered something far more profound than a simple technological marvel. They had discovered a different way of understanding intelligence itself. Where Zorn technology sought to control, human technology sought to understand. Where Zorn systems were rigid, human systems were fluid. Vexna, the junior researcher who had been at the forefront of the analysis, had prepared supplementary documentation. Each page was a challenge to fundamental Zorn technological principles. The psychological algorithms, the adaptive systems, the interconnected nature of human technological design. All of it suggested a paradigm that was simultaneously terrifying and magnificent. The council chamber fell into a charged silence. Counselor Drax reviewed the most critical findings: the ship's ability to transform challenges into opportunities, the crew's comprehensive approach to problem-solving, the psychological systems that could predict and navigate complex interpersonal dynamics with unprecedented precision. "This changes everything," Drax whispered. "Internal policies would need to be rewritten. Technological research would be fundamentally redirected. The Zorn Collective's understanding of intelligence, of potential, of existence itself was about to be transformed." The decision was unanimous but unspoken. The findings would be classified at the highest level. A special research division would be established to study the implications, but the broader Zorn civilization would never know the full extent of what had been discovered. Back on the U.S. Defiance, life continued with its usual dynamic energy. Captain Rodriguez reviewed mission parameters, her crew moving with the fluid interconnectedness that had so puzzled the Zorn researchers. They were unaware that they had become something more than just a ship's crew. They were ambassadors of a fundamentally different approach to existence. Krillax made a final observation that would be recorded only in the most secure archives. Humanity was not just a species. It was a continuous process of becoming. Each challenge was an opportunity. Each limitation was a potential for growth. The universe had just become a much more interesting place. As the council adjourned, the weight of discovery hung in the air. The Zorn Collective would adapt. They would learn. They would grow. Just like humans had been doing all along.